Anthology on the bad, short-lived, and forgotten shows and events in TV history. You are listening to It Was a Thing on TV.
Trust me, I know what I'm doing.
Episode 548. Submission number 175. Hey, that was one of those funky spaces on Wheel of Fortune back in the day. Yeah, that's my takeaway of 175. I could give you a take for 548 as well, but you guys don't care that was my troop number when I was in Boy Scouts. But anyhow, episode 548, submission 175, Eisenhower and Lutz. Eisenhower and Lutz aired on CBS from March 14th of 1988 to June 20th of 1988 for the usual standard order of 13 episodes.
Hey there, baby, don't I know you? Weren't you my James Dean? A Palm Springs rebel, handsome devil, chasing a big-time dream. You were always running with the wind at your back, looking for a big red Cadillac and a beautiful girl or two, sitting right next to you. Now tell me why we love you like we do. You're short on smart and long on cute, and honesty was never your strongest suit. But me, oh my, when you do the things you do, there ought to be a law protecting girls from boys like you. There ought to be a law protecting girls from boys like you.
Bud Lutz is a newly appointed lawyer. He passed his bar exam. He's starting his own practice. Bud Lutz, he actually, not even joking, got his law degree from the Southeast School of Law and Acupuncture in Las Vegas, where they needle you in more than one way. They needle you on the stand, and then they needle you right in the back. Maybe that's the name of their athletic teams. The Southeast School of Law and Acupuncture Needles. Oh, hey, I should have mentioned this beforehand. We were short of Greg earlier, and we might be short of Greg later, but we have Aaron Sika here this week again. And actually, it's really good. We need another body here because, in case you can't hear, I'm a little congested. I've been fighting something since Tuesday, Wednesday, and Chico's been going through some issues with the change in the weather. And Greg, he's got a different type of sickness. He's got baseball fever.
Yeah.
And he happens to be with us now, but he may not be here for the entirety of the show. So we called from the bench. I didn't want to say we called him up from AAA. No, he's not minor league. We popped him off the bench this week. Aaron Sika is with us once again.
Thank you again for having me.
Going back to the show, not talking about the School of Law and Acupuncture Needles playing sports. Bud Lutz starts his own law office in Palm Springs. And he does it in like a mini mall, in a strip mall.
What?
I've never seen a law firm in a mall before. And I live like 6 miles away from friggin' Tim Misney.
Well, hold on a second. The Hartford Civic Center was in a mall.
But that's not a law firm.
I know, but it's an arena that had the Hartford Whalers in it.
I'm actually kind of surprised you didn't turn this into a West Edmonton Mall situation.
Oh, Dane's not here. I could have made a bunch of Bruce Hart West Edmonton Muller jokes if he was here. And something about Bad News Brown.
And don't forget the amusement park.
And the roller coaster that sadly is no longer there.
What?
The roller coaster at the West Edmonton Mall, the sort of shockwave looking thing with the 3 loops, no longer there.
Oh, my God. Oh, I also forgot to add Principal Richard Pound, too.
But enough about stuff we'll cover on our spin-off podcast. It was a thing that used to be an amusement park. Getting back to this, The Eisenhower part of this. There is no Eisenhower involved in this show at all.
Wait, Dwight Eisenhower is not involved in this show at all?
Well, there's no Eisenhowers involved in the show. The name Eisenhower was used to attract clients because apparently Dwight Eisenhower was a very formidable name in 1988. I don't know.
And you know how they came up with that name? It's in the opening. It's something that if you blink, you'll miss it. While our hero, or anti-hero, I guess, is working in Las Vegas as a valet, he gets a number, and I don't know where he comes up with an Eisenhower silver dollar, but he has an Eisenhower silver dollar. He plays it in the machine. He wins $5,000 and uses it to buy a red Cadillac. That's it right there, Mike. Mike is holding up an Eisenhower silver dollar.
You're wondering where they come from. I've got one sitting right here, and next to me is like a good luck charm, like an amulet. And it was actually from a good friend of ours who sent me this. I think he sent it to me for my birthday or Christmas, maybe 5 years ago or so. I'm just wondering if Eisenhower necessarily exudes that class, because the 50s weren't necessarily the best time for certain individuals in this country. Could have said Kennedy. Could have said Carter. I mean, well, Carter would have only been like 9 years earlier, but he was pretty much loved and beloved, especially given what he did after he was in the White House. Maybe he wasn't the best president, but he was definitely a humanitarian, to say the least. No, you can't call it Reagan. What about Roosevelt? I mean, everybody loves a Roosevelt. Teddy or Franklin.
You know, it's too bad this wasn't 20 years later, because you know who they could have gotten in the law firm?
Obama?
No, the Washington Nationals racing Teddy Roosevelt. They could have gotten in the law firm.
And they could have even had that like on the billboard. They could have had the Teddy, the running Teddy promoting the law firm. I was actually afraid for half a second you were going to go down the Mr. Black route.
No, I'm not going to do that with a guest here.
Oh, well, hey, let's kick out Aaron and let's see if you do it then.
No, we're not. Nobody's getting kicked out.
No.
There's a law firm in a mini mall, in a strip mall, and there's a name on the sign that doesn't have any attribution to the law firm at all. Does this sound like a scam to you as well? I don't know.
Well, you have to consider that Bud Lutz is a man of questionable scruple.
Oh, I was just going to get to that about his whip for the ladies. Specifically, two ladies in his life. We'll get to them a little bit later. But yeah, he's kind of skeevy. I think that's a good word to use. He's a skeeve. He'd be canceled in 2025. He'd be Me Too'd if this is in like 2018. So who's playing this skeeve? I don't think we've ever used the word skeeve on the show before. This is a landmark moment. I'm glad Aaron's here to share it with us. So who played the skeeve? Barnett, Bud, Lutz Jr. Give him about another year, year and a half, and he's going to have the role that he's going to be known for forever. We're talking about Scott Bakula. The same Scott Bakula that we mentioned a number of weeks back, playing the Michael Keaton role on the TV adaptation of Gung Ho.
Yes, and remember Infiltrator?
We did talk about Infiltrator because that was part of the CBS Summer Playhouse, hosted by Daphne Maxwell Reid and Tim Reid.
Oh, wait, Mike. Mike, you have to mention this. You have to mention this to the people.
This is called a segue. This is a transition to exactly what you're talking about, because I shared this with Greg earlier and Chico and Aaron. I happen to have on my phone a clip from maybe about 2 weeks ago from an airing of the new Liars Club. And I just recorded the open for some reason. And it did have Don Yesso. I'll let you listen to it and you figure out what the problem with this clip is.
Now, Shotty LaRue from my son's favorite show on CBS, which was just picked up again, Frank's Place.
I can tell you what the problem is, Mike. That son of a bitch, John Borger, didn't mention his damn name.
I'd say that's the joke, but I can't do that to the ghost of Bill Armstrong.
Why does the ghost of Bill Armstrong sound like he's on the toilet?
Oh, jeez! There's a certain hustle and bustle going on in a toilet in Vancouver. Oh my gosh.
I can't blame you. The acoustics sound like shit here in the toilet. Literally.
Oh my gosh.
Why is the ghost of Bill Armstrong following you, Mike?
You gotta remember that he's not only just a ghost, Greg, but also he commutes between Vancouver and Orlando, and you're not that far from Orlando, so he decided to make a little road trip to visit you.
Yeah, but the slide guy's just no longer at Universal, Mike. So, I mean, he's not going to see the time capsule.
I get that, but also at the same time, what's there to do in Vancouver? I'm sure the TV studio has been leveled or raised or rebuilt. What's he going to do? Just walk around the fields of outer Vancouver looking for cold cases?
You don't think I can go to a Vancouver Canucks game, Mike?
I'd be more impressed if you went to a Vancouver Grizzlies game.
Oh, yes. I was a big Country Reeves fan.
I knew there'd be a Bryant Reeves reference there. That is great. The only person who mattered on the Vancouver Grizzlies back in the day.
All right, Mike, I'm not going to stand for this Mike Bibby erasure, bitch.
Oh, I'm sorry. Totally forgot that Mike Bibby was part of those teams. But anyhow, Scott Bakula. Yeah. Quantum Leap. Gung Ho. NCIS New Orleans. I don't even think we need to mention Gung Ho. It's not like anybody comes up to Scott Bakula and says, hey, you're the guy from that TV show. You played that Michael Keaton role on that very short-lived series. No, nobody says that.
Nobody talks about the time he was in that episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia as the janitor.
Oh, no, I just saw what episode that is. No. No, I'm putting my good foot down. The gang goes black. I'm sorry.
That got dark very quickly.
No pun intended. Good heavens. Yeah, that's why I sort of put the kibosh on that before anybody could say something about that episode.
No.
But anyhow, moving fast off of Scott Bakula, and the gang goes black. Ooh, before we go black. Playing one of the two main interests of Bud Lutz's affection, Megan O'Malley, is Delane Matthews. She was on Dave's World, 98 episodes from 1993 to 1997. She played Beth Berry, so I'm guessing that might be Dave Berry's wife.
Yep.
But besides Dave's World, the biggest thing I see for her is she's on 27 episodes of General Hospital between 2001 and 2003. Oh, she was on another show that I recognize, and I'm sure this may be on the list. FM.
We'll come back to that, Mike.
Playing K. Oh, I've got to say this very slowly for obvious reasons. Playing KK Dunn. See, you can't say it at a normal speed or else, well, that doesn't mix well with The Gang Goes Black. But playing KK Dunn, or K Dunn, or KK Dunn, is Patricia Richardson from Home Improvement. Friggin' Joe Taylor, everybody.
Now hold on a second, Mike. Patricia Richardson was in an early episode of Quantum Leap.
So she was, yes. Actually, 2 episodes from what I see. Season 2, episode 5, and season 2, episode 6. Playing the same role. It was that 2-episode story arc on Quantum Leap that made her career. Oh no, actually, oh my gosh, what a coincidence. She was also on all 13 episodes of FM. What are the odds we're talking about 2 people that were on FM?
We'll come back to that.
Oh, jeez. All right, we'll move on then to Millie Zamora, played by Rose Portillo. She is another one of those people that she's done a little bit of everything. And honestly, taking a look at her IMDb, this is the only show that she was on for a majority of the episodes. Playing Dwayne Spittler. That's a nice name. Spittler.
Sounds like a name of middle reliever.
Playing Dwayne Spittler in this series is Lou Jeter. Not really known for being an actor, but he's known for being a producer on Major Crimes, 68 episodes, and The Closer, 36 episodes. In terms of acting, Chico, just say it right now.
We'll come back to that.
Thank you. Playing Barnett Big Bud Lutz. I can't say Big Bud the way I'd like to. I think we need to get like Rudy in here. Rudy Huxtable to say Bud.
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 Big Bud.
Bud.
Or maybe we should get like the frogs from the beer campaign like 30 years ago. Bud. But playing Big Bud Lutz is Henderson Forsyth. Not with us any longer. Hasn't been around for almost 20 years at this point. He was on 189 episodes of As the World Turns from 1960 to 1990. Good heavens. That's quite a bit of a time span there. But also, doing a little bit of research here, this character, Big Bud, he actually originated as a guest character on 8 is Enough. So maybe somehow this is some sort of weird spin-off or some sort of connection?
Henderson Forsyth, we've talked about him before. He was the grandpa who could see Eric Idle in Nearly Departed.
Those are the main characters. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to just dive into the episodes and see what shenanigans and possible future sexual harassment lawsuits Bud gets into. We'll start with episode 1, which is The Whiplash Kid Returns Part 1. Bud Lutz Jr., straight out of law school, sets up his practice at a strip mall in Palm Springs, an ambulance chaser type with a good heart. Now that's a contradiction. An ambulance chaser with a good heart? I'm already calling shenanigans.
Can I bring that line of question to attention? An ambulance chaser type with a good heart. He may have a good heart, and that's probably why they couldn't get who they actually wanted as Bud Lutz. Dabney Coleman.
Well, he would have been busy at this time.
With Slap Maxwell.
Bingo.
But the thing of it is, he was considered for this role, but he turned it down for Slap Maxwell because, and now I'm quoting, the main character sounds too nice.
Remember, we're talking about Dabney Coleman here. He primarily plays asshole. No, let's take a look at it. 9 to 5?
Asshole.
Yeah. I almost want to say Cloak and Dagger, but I can't do that. No.
No, he was actually not an asshole in Cloak and Dagger.
Well, the thing is, I just didn't want to mention Cloak and Dagger, but going back to other things he did, Mary Hartman, he was the mayor, which may have been asshole-ish, but from what I've seen, he wasn't an asshole. Buffalo Bill,
Big asshole.
But Buffalo's most popular asshole, though. Oh, there's a joke there, but I'm not touching that with a forklift. Slap Maxwell's story? Asshole.
Asshole.
Drexel's class?
Big asshole.
Well, teacher asshole, but with a heart. He's a teacher. So he can't be a total asshole. So I get it. He didn't like it because he couldn't play the asshole. So they put Scott Bakula in here, and he was, well, an asshole, but with a good heart. But anyhow, finishing off the synopsis here. Buddy gets a call from a large law firm hoping for a job. So it's just your basic expository episode. We do have a name in this episode playing Dodie. Rebecca Shaw. Oh, Greg. Can you do this while you're on vacation? We'll find out. She played Faye on 172 episodes of Wings.
Greg is shaking his phone like crazy, y'all.
Apparently he can't do that outside of state lines or something. But I'll do it since Greg can't or won't do it. Wait, hold on. He's moving, so I think he might be relocating to someplace that won't indict him.
I can't do this with the family around. I have to say this. Okay.
What you do with the family is your business, Greg.
Look, Aaron, I don't think we talked about it in the last taping you were in, but I love Wings.
Tell him why you love Wings.
Oh, it made Tony Shalhoub's career.
But now, how many episodes has it been since you first mentioned this? 248?
Oh my God, we're almost nearing 250. Can you believe we're almost 50% past the time where I never mentioned that I loved Wings?
It's absolutely amazing. I mean, it's been like 2.5 years since the first time you mentioned that you like Wings.
Yeah.
Because it made Tony Shalhoub's career.
Yeah, you go back through the first 300 episodes. I never mentioned that I loved Wings.
Not at all.
You mentioned Crystal Bernard wanting to see Rent a lot, though.
I did, because she did want to see Rent.
I want to see Rent.
Oh, wait. Do you know what anniversary this is today as we're taping?
Is it somebody or something's 69th anniversary?
No. Today is the 34th anniversary of this. Rosalind! Oh my God! Dude.
I really don't want to talk about it.
Oh my God!
34 years ago, Diana Muldaur took a fall. Okay.
Yeah. An American collectively said no more Pulaski episodes.
Just looking around, I found another name of sorts. Playing a teenager in this episode is David Pressman. This is like my cartoon Voldemort. I don't like saying this, but the thing is, I don't know how I can say this without, like, not saying the title of the show. He plays Davros on Crapopolis, which the three of us, Greg, Chico, and myself, determined we would gladly sacrifice once American Dad returns to Fox. And Chico would even sacrifice it for a ham sandwich.
Hey, I got a great idea. What if for the first episode of American Dad back on Fox, they finally culminate the saga with the golden turd?
You make a great point, though. They really haven't done any sort of culmination, and I don't watch American Dad all that often, but they rarely talk about the golden turd. That is a 20-year storyline that's hanging there. Think about that. Because wasn't that on the original pilot, which aired almost 20 years ago, April of 2005, I do believe?
No, it was Super Bowl Sunday 2005.
Okay, the first episode proper, which I think was the pilot, aired on April 1st of 2005. But still, it's been dangling for 20 years. I think we do need a little bit of closure there. Plus, also, if you've had a poop dangling for 20 years, you might want to go see a doctor. Aaron, aren't you glad you came to such a classy episode? Oh, also, speaking of shows we talked about earlier, David Pressman, he was on an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Charlie work. Let's skedaddle to episode 2, which is titled The Whiplash Kid Returns Part 2. Oh yeah, that was a 2-part episode. I totally forgot. The first 2 episodes were a 2-parter. Buddy has a meeting about the referral with law firm Griffith, McKendrick, and Dunn's K. Dunn, held at the strip mall bar where Buddy's girlfriend Megan works. Buddy is caught between the girl he loves and the one he left behind.
That's a very important plot line of this love triangle. Megan, the barmaid, is Bud Lutz's current girlfriend. Kay Dunn, the hotshot lawyer, is the lady Bud Lutz dated, either in high school or in college, depending on what the script says.
Episode 3. Oh gosh, I read the capsule of this and I died. Episode 3 is titled The Hernia Chronicles. Bud Jr. tries to hide his worry about Bud Sr.'s hernia surgery. Megan meets with Kay and they end up discussing their mutual love interest. That synopsis does not mention how Bud Sr. ended up with hernia issues. Bud Sr. hurt himself when he was putting up the sign for the law firm. Episode 4 is titled, Take My Ex-Wife, Please. Oh no. I think I know where this may be going. Megan's ex-husband comes to town, hoping to rekindle old flames. Hopes he shares with Bud's ex-girlfriend. We have a name of sorts, not a big name, but playing Mickey Melvoin is Rick Podell. I mention him primarily for one reason. Since we just talked about American Dad, he did voices on 4 episodes of American Dad. Problem is, it doesn't say what voices he did. He was on many different series, but not many episodes of any given series. Episode 5 is titled Blast from the Past. At his high school reunion, Bud learns that he and a prospective client have a lot in common. The client's wife was a friend of Bud's in high school. We have a name, and this is somebody we've talked about quite a bit in the past. Playing Bjorn is Ray Burke. Pap Smear in the Naked Gun franchise. We've definitely talked about him because I've mentioned Pap Smear. Actually, talking with students earlier today, they're asking what I'm going to do during spring break, because we're on spring break now. We were talking about movies, and they were talking about the Scary Movie franchise, and I said, another similar franchise, in more than one way, is the Naked Gun franchise. They don't know what it is. Damn kids. They need to watch that. But I told them, sort of like the Scary Movie franchise, first installment, good. Second installment, not as good, but not bad. Third installment, mid. Fourth and fifth installments, absolute trash. And I told them the Naked Gun franchise is pretty much the same way. Naked Gun, the original, absolutely classic. Naked Gun 2.5, a step down, but still has its own merits. Naked Gun 33 and a third, outside of the ending, and also outside of O.J. Simpson having been arrested like right around the time this movie was released, absolutely trash.
Playing Wild Bill Warner is the name of the character. That's the prospective client. Arlen Dean Snyder passed away last year. He was in One Life to Live, Heartbreak Ridge, and an episode of LA Law.
But the big question is, was it that episode?
I do not believe it was.
Well, it would be like, what, a 1 in 150 chance it was that episode? So I think it's fair to say it was not that episode.
Playing his wife, Patsy Warner, Sandra Dickinson, nowadays a voice actress, played roles in The Amazing World of Gumball and Thunderbirds Are Go.
I'll even throw out another name, primarily for one reason. Playing Sherry Blankenship in this episode is Susie Plaxon. Looking at her IMDb, her known for, she played female Q on an episode of Star Trek Voyager.
hold on. Aaron does not know this. Aaron, you are about to be privy to one of the show's secrets here. Did you know that I went to college and was in an a cappella group with John Delancey's kid?
I did not. Did they call him lowercase q?
They actually called him Q2.
Oh. So he did home shopping on the side.
A little bit. Yeah.
Is he a waiter now by chance?
I don't think so.
Oh, I wanted to know if his customers give him a Q-tip.
You have an ear for jokes, Mike.
And a body for radio.
We did not mention that Susie Plaxton played another key character in the Star Trek universe. She was Kalis, the mate of Worf on TNG and the mother of their child, Alexander, who is played by Brian Bonsall.
I also want to mention two other things that she did. One, she was on 14 episodes of Dinosaurs. We love our dinosaurs around here. Well, actually, a third one. She was also on Love and War for 67 episodes, if you remember that. But also, I just love the random stuff I find on IMDb. She played a voice on an episode of Futurama. She played a voice of an Amazonian in the episode where the Amazonian women want to get Snoo Snoo from Fry. Snoo Snoo being.
She's also Marshall Erickson's mom on How I Met Your Mother. You know what that means? She's married to Dauber from Coach and Patrick Star from SpongeBob.
Wait, she's really Bill Fagerbakk's wife?
On the show.
Oh, you got me all excited there. It's like, taking a look at her IMDb here, she's 6'1.5".
I'm sorry,
Imagine,
what?
Okay, like I said, she's 6'1.5". Imagine her if Bill Fagerbakke was her husband. Bill Fagerbakke's like 6'6". They'd be making Amazonian women. They'd be making like a whole WNBA team of players. Okay, hold on a second. Another tidbit related to her height. This is only stuff you get on IMDb, folks. She is the tallest woman to ever appear in any part of the Star Trek franchise.
Greg actually asked a good question. Because Susie Plaxton was 6'1". Bill Fagerbakke 6'6". Their son, Marshall Erickson, played by Jason Segel, 6'4", and is the runt of the family.
What if I said it could happen? But also, that reminds me, now we're going like way off the beaten path, but you know what? That's what this podcast is known for sometimes. Jason Segel, he played basketball in high school, and he played with somebody who actually made it to the NBA, somebody semi-famous. Jason Segel's high school basketball teammate was Jason Collins. And I know what you're all saying. Who's Jason Collins? And actually, Jason Collins, he was a starting center at the high school they went to. Jason Segel was his backup. He was the backup center on that basketball team. I think that's absolutely amazing. And Jason Collins, longtime NBA player. He's been retired for some time. Played 13 years. He played college basketball at Stanford. He was drafted 18th overall in the 2001 NBA draft. Played for New Jersey Nets, Memphis Grizzlies, Minnesota Timberwolves, Atlanta Hawks, Boston Celtics, Washington Wizards, and Brooklyn Nets. With all that out of the way, we're going to episode 6. Bud Jr. Part 1. Oh no, there's going to be a little Bud in the family. Or it sounds like there's going to be a little Bud in the family. Wild Bill persuades Bud to hire his son Jay, who looks an awful lot like Bud, and Big Bud reveals a secret he's kept for years. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh my god, somebody burped there, like burp from hell.
Uh-oh.
Okay, that sounded a little bit better.
What is uh-oh but in Italian?
We have a name of sorts in this episode playing Jay Warner. So we're talking the son of the Warners that we talked about the previous episode. Jay Warner's played by Michael DeLuise, one of the DeLuise kids. Not Peter DeLuise. Definitely not Don DeLuise. That was his father. Yeah, Michael DeLuise, the one that wasn't on 21 Jump Street. But he was on Wayne's World. Let's go to the next episode, which is Bud Jr. Part 2. Bud searches for his biological father while deciding whether to reveal his identity to Jay, his own illegitimate son. Episode 8 is Don't Change a Hair for Me. When Megan and Kay head off to self-improvement programs, Bud finds himself with time on his hands. A name in this episode. Play just a waiter. This is somebody we've talked about in the past, and actually looking at IMDb before the show, this guy was like on so many shows that didn't last all that long, and we've talked about him previously. Talking about Craig Bierko, he was on the Red Dwarf pilot or pilots that we talked about in the past. But I saw earlier today, because I think this is the 35th anniversary of this show premiering, give or take a day from now. He was on all 13 episodes of Sydney in 1990. Oh, he was on an episode of Wings in 1990 as well. The Puppet Master, Season 2, Episode 1. But there's just so many shows that he's either been in at the pilot stage or was on, but it just didn't run all that long. Madman of the People. Yeah, there's another Dabney Coleman reference.
He could have been Chandler on Friends, but he turned down the role. According to IMDb, was originally cast.
Bad career moves for 2000, Alex. Dang. That is one of the biggest mistakes in TV history. Talking about Craig Bierko, not Dabney Coleman. The Dabney Coleman on Friends? Nah, let's not go there. Let's just move on. Going to episode 9. It's titled Petrified Forest, Forrest. After bungling a heist, a terrified burglar takes refuge in the office, so Bud tries to spin it into a hostage situation to get the attention of the press. Because that's what a shady-ish lawyer would do. Playing that Forrest character is John Christopher Jones, not necessarily known for any one role in particular. Episode 10 is titled Bud's Buddy. When forced to choose between a business date with Kay and celebrating Megan's birthday, Bud opts to spend time with Megan, but he comes to regret it after his old army buddy puts the moves on Kay. What? Going on to episode 11, which is titled Pride and Prejudice. Bud and Megan break up after a senseless argument, but he finds comfort with a chic older woman. Or chic older woman, I should say, not a chick. I have no taste. I say chick, but it's chic. We have a name in this episode, and I mentioned it for one reason only. Playing Vito in this episode is Don Amendolia. You may be saying, why does Mike care about Don Amendolia? Well, hang on, guys. This is going to be a real stretch here. Don Amendolia played Hank Zenzola on one episode of Cheers in Season 2, Affairs of the Heart. But also, guys, he has a signed card in the Cheers Rittenhouse set. I don't have it with me because I haven't pulled it, but Cheers Rittenhouse, baby. Go buy it. I've only bought so much of this stuff, and I'm sitting on a case of it in my closet right now. That's not an advertisement. That's a declaration of love. And, as I mentioned earlier to these guys, I bought 3 more boxes of the Cheers Rittenhouse set this morning. So I'll have something to do over spring break, besides, like, watching the Naked Gun franchise and actually doing stuff for work. Go figure.
We didn't talk about the old lady that Bud ends up with. Lady by the name of Eleanor, played by Elizabeth Ashley. She was on 99 episodes of Evening Shade.
So she shared the stage with Burt Reynolds.
And Mary Lou Henner.
And Burt Reynolds. With all due respect to Mary Lou Henner. Going on to the penultimate episode, Play it again, Bud. Bud moonlights as a cocktail lounge pianist in order to raise funds to finance his buddy Roger's get-rich-quick scheme. Why does this sound like something that Scott Bakula would actually do in an episode of Quantum Leap? He leaps into somebody's body, starts playing the piano. I see it happening.
Oh boy.
Well, Scott Bakula is a pianist.
That's a pianist! That will take us to the last episode, titled The Devil Wears a Toupee. Bud is targeted for revenge by a millionaire whom he pranked. So many presidential jokes to make, so little time. So that is 13 episodes. I think we need to take a look at the schedule to see what happened. I will tell you that this show replaced Frank's place on the lineup. Sorry, Don Yesso. You're not getting any more checks as Shotty LaRue. But if we do take a look at the schedule, Eisenhower and Lutz aired on Monday nights at 9:30 p.m. The competition, I can see why it didn't last all that long. It went up against movies on both ABC and NBC. And each of those movies was rated for the season in the top 30. That's not good. On that premiere night, Eisenhower and Lutz actually aired twice. It aired at 8:30, but then again at 9:30? This Monday night lineup is not bad for CBS. This is clearly the weak link in the chain. At 8 o'clock, you had Kate and Allie. At 8:30, you had Designing Women. At 9, you had Newhart. Then Eisenhower and Lutz. And then at 10, you had Wise Guy. Wise Guy had a little bit of mileage. It wasn't the best show, but it definitely lasted longer than Eisenhower and Lutz, for heaven's sakes. Now, if we look at the ratings for the two premiere episodes, and unfortunately, I can't differentiate which episode is which. Out of 46 episodes that week, one episode came in at 31st, and the other came in at 41st. That's not a good start.
I'm doing a little bit of research. I can sort of reason this out. Eisenhower and Lutz at 8:30 was 31st. Eisenhower and Lutz at 9:30 was 41st.
For some reason, I think that would make sense. 9:30 is obviously a little later. People are going to bed. Maybe people are turning it off after Newhart. Yeah, they had a nice little episode where Tom Poston did something stupid and silly, and Larry, Daryl, and Daryl made you laugh your butt off, and then it's like, oh, I'm too exhausted to watch the second episode of Eisenhower and Lutz. Good night. Or at least that's my interpretation. Believe it or not, the episode of Newhart that aired on the night of the premiere of Eisenhower and Lutz, it aired just this past weekend on the Catchy Comedy Binge of Newhart. And it was an episode about everybody who works at the Stratford Inn having dreams. And the final dream was Larry, Daryl, and Daryl being on the Tonight Show. Larry actually hosted the Tonight Show, and one Daryl was the Ed McMahon sidekick, and the other Daryl was playing the Doc Severinsen role. So maybe the viewers thought that was the Tonight Show and just instinctively fell asleep? I don't know. For mid-April of 1988, out of 47 shows, Eisenhower and Lutz came in at 40th. Not good. Again, you're in the bottom 20% roughly. No bueno. And then for 2 weeks later, so we're talking end of April, out of 80 shows, because it looks like this is when the Fox shows started airing, which actually rates, because I remember they started around April of 87. So we got 80 shows now, and out of 80, it's 43rd. And I don't mean to surprise you, but the bottom 10 shows for the week are all Fox shows. People just weren't watching Mr. President or Beans Baxter. Or Boys Will Be Boys, a show that didn't get a second chance.
Yes.
For the 1987-88 season, in terms of shows that premiered in that season, Eisenhower and Lutz came in at 12th overall. A Different World 1, no surprise. Wonder Years 2, no surprise. In the Heat of the Night, My Two Dads. Hooperman, 6th. Hooperman, wow. 30-something is 8th. Beauty and the Beast was 11th. Eisenhower and Lutz at 12. Slap Maxwell Story at 13. Dolly at 14. Oh, no. 15 and 16. Jake and the Fat Man in Frank's Place. We get William Cannon and we get Shadi LaRue back to back. And then Wise Guy that I talked about earlier, it was literally the worst new show of 1987-88 at this point. 20th out of 20 shows. So maybe CBS just couldn't find something to fill that 9:30 to 11 p.m. slots.
No, they were pretty much screwed, Mike.
How do you come into play in all this?
Look, don't ask me, Mike. I just show up when I need to.
All the episodes are online. They're on YouTube, but as always, they're of dubious legality. Tread with caution. They might be removed at any time. It did not get a formal home release. Understandably so.
Looks like starting in April, Cagney and Lacey took over the 10 p.m. time slot after Eisenhower and Lutz. So, I mean, it had surrounded by good shows.
Oh, it was definitely surrounded by good shows. Just, again, this is the weak link in the chain. Eisenhower and Lutz itself was replaced on the CBS schedule by Designing Women. It moved from 8:30 to 9:30. And Kate and Allie actually moved as well from 8 to 9. I'm guessing giving a little respite to Newhart for the summer. And from 8 to 9 was something called Blue Skies with Tom Wopat. 8 episodes.
You made mention of FM 3 times in this episode. Let's go back to Alan Burns only managing 13 episodes of Eisenhower and Lutz before CBS decided to revoke Lutz's law license, let's just say.
Disbarred.
Alan Burns would team up with 2 of the writers on this show to revive the premise of a love triangle in the workplace with Delane Matthews, Patricia Richardson, and Leo Getter. And the show would be on NBC as FM. But obviously they couldn't get Scott Bakula back. They had to settle for Robert Hayes.
A fair replacement. What can we say about Eisenhower and Lutz? Again, it was a weak link in a very good CBS Monday night lineup. It tried. If it was in 2025, it would have never seen the light of day. It would have been Me Too'd and canceled and everything else that's happened in the last, 10 years. But in 1988, Eisenhower and Lutz, it got a chance. It was a little womanizing. Big Bud screwed up his hernia putting up the law firm sign in the strip mall. But in the end, what can we say about Eisenhower and Lutz? It's just a thing on TV.
You can find us at our website, itwasthathingontv.com, on Facebook at It Was a Thing on TV Podcast, and elsewhere at It Was a Thing on TV. You can find us on any podcast player, and we're also on YouTube, where you can subscribe to our channel to keep up to date with our releases, including what's coming up next time.
We're going to continue doing one show per week, at least for next week. And next week, you get to get the episode that we thought we recorded last week, but Skype was being a pain in the tuchus. Or somebody may have forgot to hit the record button. We're going to cover that episode next week, and really the timing of this is absolutely impeccable. Because the day this episode, Eisenhower and Lutz, is coming out, is opening day for most Major League Baseball clubs. Dodgers and Cubs have already played in Japan, and I think there's a couple of teams that are going to start on Friday. But it's baseball season, guys. And hopefully you'll be able to watch your team somehow without paying money, because I will probably have to pay if I want to watch the Guardians. Boo humbug. We're going to talk about a show related to baseball, about a minor league team that, well, they do minor league things. And the cast of characters, good heavens, there are a lot of moving pieces here, and I think that might be the reason this show got canceled, besides the ratings and the usual stuff. But when you've got like 18 or 20 different people who were on every single episode, I mean, there's an ensemble cast, and then there's this. No, seriously. There's like 20 different people because you got the manager, you've got all the 9 positions, and then you got the different coaches, and then you've got girlfriends and wives. There's a lot of moving pieces to this show. But we'll talk about that next time right here at It Was a Thing on TV. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you to Aaron for stopping by.
Thanks
Thank
again
you
for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you to Greg for stopping by when he didn't have to. We will catch you next Thursday, a week into the baseball season. Go Guardians.
Go
Burn us out,
Yankees.
Go Phillies.
Okay, no. Go Guardians. Screw your Yankees. Phillies, I'm on the fence with. Greg knows I support the Mets. I like the Mets. But hey, since Greg's here, do you want to roar?
Quiet on the set.
Mondays, it's the comic